welcome back to another Sunday morning with the Blurred Church of Anime. I hope you all had a fantastic week. I hope the week was weeking for you in a good way. That you got a chance to do the things you needed to do, that you got a chance to do the things that you like to do, that you got a chance to rest if you needed. Last week was interesting. I might not just in the world, but especially in America, a lot of stuff had happened. And I think in my own community of Black people, um, it was a trying week. Maybe not personally, like things going on in my life, although there were things going on in my life that was like trying. But I think just political fatigue and just a lot of things happening in America could make the week kind of exhausting, especially if you deal with certain types of people. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. But again, the last week was kind of F last week. We're gonna make sure this week is even better. Keep our people protected and know that they are loved and cared for, despite all of the bull happening on other sides. So that's my hope for you. That is my hope for myself. I try to put some positivity out there, although sometimes I can be very negative, especially when, things aren't always going my way, or my body hurts, or my wallet hurts, or whatever is happening, still gotta put some, fun things out there. And speaking of fun things, like I got a chance to go see the new Infinity Castle arc movie for Demon Slayer, which is a lot of thoughts, but it's real brand spanking new this weekend, so I'm not gonna say anything else about that. In fact, I had a really, really hard time. I feel like I'm saying this every week now, but like I normally think through pretty early on the week, like the topics. I have like a whole list of things I want to talk to, animes that I want to like, really pull from, and then doing research for last week's topic on Dororo. I found out because the internet, my interwebs, my people did not tell me this, that there was a live action Oshi No Ko series and movie. Like, how dare I not know this? On Amazon Prime, of all places. And if you don't know, which you probably don't, I am low-key obsessed with Oshi No Ko. I love the anime, and the anime did what it was supposed to do for a season, which got me to go read the manga. Then I read the manga, been stuck. I've been stuck. And now there's this live action. So, last week, what did I do? Binge watch all of it. So my mind has been nothing but Oshi No Ko, except for when it goes see Demon Slayer. And like the other animes I do weekly that I catch up on. Oh, every time I kept thinking about, what's my topic for this week? I just kept coming back to, I want to talk about Oshi No Ko so bad. I want to talk about it so bad. And I have a lot of thoughts, most of them not on a Sunday morning type of like experience. So it was like me combing through that series and trying to not spoil things because the anime is not done, the manga is done, and the live action wrapped up. Um, but it's considering that a lot of people probably got started on the anime first. Like, I don't want to spoil. Um, and a lot of things I want to talk about are the people who blast Oshi No Ko and are not fans for whatever reasons. No, not for whatever, for certain reasons about it being about PDF files and the main character being a loli and twin sets, all these kind of things. I'm gonna do a separate video. I did a small one on TikTok months ago, but I feel like I need to do like another reiteration next. Now I want to come with the evidence. That's a spoiler heavy one. I'm gonna come with my receipts. Well, we're not here this Sunday to do that. So when I was thinking about like what is the overall themes of Oshi No Ko, besides talking about the harmful effects of the entertainment industry, the Japanese entertainment industry, but that could be for any country, on young children and teenagers, another overlying theme comes up, and it's about the morality of lying. I know, right? Like, what is the morality behind lying and how lying can be a cause and effect for really bad things to happen, but also a way to show love. And I kind of sat with that for a while. So I don't know if I'll have a definitive answer by the end of this conversation, sermon, speech, whatever. but I think it'll be interesting. This is definitely one I think I want to hear some more of your feedback. Any ethics and morality conversations, I really like to get feedback. Oh, but who am I? I jumped right in without even saying, like, I am your preacher, your pastor, your messenger, whatever you want to call me. I am Black Star here again for you this week. And yeah, we're going to talk about the morality of lying using Oshi no Ko. So first off, what is Oshi no Ko if you've never heard of this manga, anime, live action before? Spoiler free, Oshi no Ko is pretty much, like I said, a somewhat deep dive into the Japanese entertainment industry and how it affects mostly children and teenagers. Number one industry they really like harp on is the idol industry. You're following someone's trajectory into becoming an idol, but it's also a murder mystery revenge plot too. That's it in a nutshell. Like, you sound like, what? Yes, that should make you sound like what? I will be spoiling the first episode as I set up the premise for Oshi no Ko. If you have not seen it, I would highly suggest you pause this. Don't listen to this podcast. Don't watch this video. Like, just go watch the first episode. It is in the anime if you want to, because the first episode of the anime is like a movie. It's like legit. They did a movie release and then did the rest of the episode for the first season. It is available on High Dive as well as Disney Plus now. I remember seeing like, oh, first season of Oshi no Ko is on Disney Plus. That was interesting, but it really blew up. Second season, people didn't love as much. You're talking about the downfall of it. I don't subscribe to that motion. Whatever. But yeah, I would highly recommend you just pause this video, pause this recording, this podcast, and go watch it. It is a self-contained story in itself. And then if you want to see the live action I think does a really great job of it too. Without as many spoilers as the other ones do. I think you just go watch the first episode on Amazon Prime too. And the live action is actually pretty good. The acting's pretty good. Yeah, so I recommend both. For those of y'all who are like, I don't care about getting a little spoiled because I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. Let's talk about this first episode because it does really set up what you should expect for the rest of the series. And then, like I said, the main theme. So if you've never heard of Oshi no Ko, if you know a little bit about it, it tells the story, the very first episode, the movie, the first chapters of the manga, about a rising idol named Ai. She's part of a group called B Komachi. And Ai is the center. She's the guy. I mean, she decided that she wants to be an idol. This is what she wants to do. And at the age of 15, she gets pregnant with twins. So already some of the commentary, a 15-year-old pregnant who is an idol. She decides she wants to have her kids and that she wants to do it all. She wants to have her kids and still be an idol. And the only way for that to happen is for her kids to stay secret. She doesn't want to give them away. She doesn't want to get them adopted. She wants to be a mother, but she has to keep that a secret because if you know anything about Japanese idol scenes, and the parasocial relationships that happen with this, and you don't have to see this in Japan, but in general, there's this idea of idols' purity and like they're not allowed to date. K-pop does a lot of this too, and it's not just for the female fans; it's very heavy in the male fans as well. Like you're a blank slate to be the dreams and the desires of the audience. And so it's already scandalous that she's young enough, that she's this young having kids, let alone having a boyfriend or partner or whatever, or husband, blah. Of course she doesn't. You know, she is an unwed single mother. But she knows she has to lie about this. And Ai is fine about this because Ai has been lying her entire idol career. Ai doesn't know what love is. And so when she's yelling, I love you to all my fans, she doesn't know that she loves them. So she believes that these are really good lies. You know, it helps sell her as an idol and she's good at it. She's a really good liar. So she has her kids. Her twins, Aquamarine, who's the boy, and Ruby, who's the girl. So she's set up boy and girl. They are reincarnations. And not like from another world or from 300 years ago. I know. I've already started talking about murder mystery and reincarnations. It's wild. It's a lot of things I love into this series. But they are actually reincarnations of two people who were iFans before they died. So her babies are like diehard fans of her. Just go with it. Just I promise you. And so they retain their memories and like they are there and they understand, like I think that's not stupid to do because they retain their memories. They understand that I has to hide them in order for her to continue to work as an idol and to get bigger and do the things she needs to do. And so she has like mature children who are like, we completely understand this, like we want your continued success as your kids and former iFans. So I think that kind of helps her out. Do they ever tell her that they're reincarnations? No, that is a secret. I don't think you want a baby telling you that you're a reincarnation of a former fan. That'd be creepy. And I'm not even sure if I could handle all of that either. So years go by, the kids are about 5, and I and Bikamachi are about to do their biggest concert ever in the Tokyo Dome, which is like this is a big landmark, a big stepping stone up for this group to even be able to book and have a concert in the Tokyo Dome. And the day of the concert, the day of the show, a fan comes to her door upset about the lies and the fact that she has children and then kills I in a very it's a scene. It is a scene. Again, even if you don't mind being spoiled, it is a really, really fantastically acted out scene in both an effective scene both in the manga and the anime and in the live action because it's a defining scene of this show. And I is, stabbed, bleeding, and she doesn't curse the fan. She's like, "Well, this is what I get for my lies." Her kids are there. They're part of this is part of the trauma that goes we talk about later on in the series. And she is like I said, she's killed. She's killed the day of her big concert and the world mourns. And you're like, okay, that sounds like the end of the series. Like the main character I is dead. Nope, nope, nope. You still have twins who are affected by the situation. Namely Aqua. Aqua the boy. And because again, being a reincarnation, much more developed in his mind than you have a typical 5-year-old child. He's like, we've been a secret. How could this have happened? Who would have known about us? And some other things I'm not going to spoil. And he comes to the conclusion that it must have been their father. Not that their father is the fan that kills I, but like their father must have set this up. And so Aqua decides, I'm going to figure out who this guy is and take my revenge. We're gonna vengeance for I is now Aqua's whole reason for being. And that's what I'm gonna say on the premise of it. There's so much other pieces that intertwine and make this a lot more interesting and a lot more deep than what I've said. But like, we'll get a little bit into that, but again, I don't want to spoil too much. So yeah, that is the setup going into the rest of the season and the rest of the story. Again, it is an indictment on the Japanese entertainment industry or entertainment industries in general. Of course, I being an idol, her kids in their former lives and their current lives being idol fans, and like what it looks like from the consumerism model. Like, what do fans and people who consume this media, what type of responsibilities they have to, especially since I was killed by a fan? What does it look like for the adults who are supposed to protect these kids? Again, I is 15 when she's pregnant. Where were the adults involved? Like her manager, the agency president who brought I into this world. Like, he is an adult. Like, are they protecting him? I does movies, and then we eventually see that we go beyond just the idol industry. We go into child stars and television and film, and into models, and we're not just in that particular industry. Reality television as well. What does it look like when you have children or teens starring in reality shows, and how are these adults supposed to protect them from themselves as well as from the audience and the fans and people who consume this media and the producers and the cameramen and the writers. There's just so many adults in this industry that not just prey on these teens and kids, but just has a failure to protect to make sure that they're okay. And that's an ongoing theme. But like I said, the other theme is also lies, as I mentioned before, and parents. Parents are also there to protect their children who are in the industry, and we learn about different types of parents who have kids in the industry as well. Um, but another part is lies. And I being an idol, and I think all idols know this too. Anyone who decides to be in K-pop, J-pop, whatever, as a, any of those industries, especially in music, that are very tightly controlled, and your image is super important, and that you don't have control over your image, that the company kind of builds it for you. There's the idea like you're not being your whole self. You are an actor in a lot of ways, acting too. I look at, and I don't think this is just for teens, but this and kids and child actors, but also adults. Like as an actor, someone who is famous for doing a thing, there is a public persona you have to do, and part of the public persona and making sure people vibe with your brand, vibe with, wanting you to succeed or come see your movies, is you have to put on an act. And in putting on an act, it can also be seen as lying, because there's parts of you, and I completely agree with this for celebrities. Like I'm never one of those persons that celebrities gotta tell us all of their business, and you got into this industry, you're an artist, you have fans, you owe the fans all this stuff. Like I know, like Doja Cat, as much as I don't like her being like telling her fans that they're weird for wanting things from her, and they kind of just taking it, being like, okay, yeah, Doja Cat is mean to us. I'm like, yes, I want people to push back. Chapel Rowan pushing back. I think there's this idea that fans get to see all of your personal details all the time, and then there's like this level of putting a space in your body that you have to lie. And then also like just for scandals and things, how do you spin something that may not look great or may not look good for your brand? And I'm sure it's not just celebrities are dealing with this, definitely influencers, people who have a brand built on certain things. And yeah, I believe in like, consumer rights, and I don't love finding out that someone I followed or an actor I really like is wildly different than who they pretended to be, especially if they end up being racist, homophobic, sexist, transphobic, all of that kind of stuff. But also like if you're building a brand of positivity and you're a really negative person and you're being mean to people, like I understand how that can completely ruin your, that you should lose your deals. Um, but it's the idea that you lie. And if lying is an act of love. And I does says that a couple of times, like me lying to my audience saying I love you because she wants it to be true. She doesn't understand love. She's an unloved child. And so being out there smiley from the fan base is doing all these things to keep in their good graces and saying, I love you all, shaking hands with fans. While she doesn't, can't say she honestly does love them because she's not sure again, love, but she's like, this is a fervent wish I wish she get out there. So I've been really like digging into the ethics and the morality of lying, because I think as a child, your parents simplify this for you, be like, you should not lie. And adults say that like children should not lie. You need to tell me the truth, or I can tell when you're lying, because sometimes kids are terrible liars, which I think is kind of adorable. Um, because people see lying as like a moral failing, but we all do it. Like in my divinity school during my degree, a lot of my favorite professors are all ethicists, and so I did a lot of ethics classes and taught through that. And that's something like if I were to go and get my PhD, ethics was definitely a way I was thinking of going. And we talk about the ethics of things and the morality, and lying is one of those pieces where it's never as black and white and cut and dry as like someone may tell you as a kid. And even as I start thinking about my growing up, my parents, especially using religions, like, it's not good to lie. The Bible says you should not bear false witness against your brother, your neighbor, whatever. And that lying, if you lie, you're killed. All these like little things that lead up to like further immorality and really bad things that you shouldn't do. But then you get to social settings and you realize being truthful all the time or sharing your truth can be inconvenient, and also can be come off as mean, short-sighted, um, aggressive, socially unacceptable. And so then we start learning to tell sociable lies. I know sometimes people may frame as little white lies. Someone's like, "Oh, do you like my dress?" And like the dress is non-consequential. You don't really like it, but to tell your friend, "I don't like your dress," just can spoil a whole thing. So she's like, "Yeah, it's cool, it's cute," and you move on with your life. It's a nice social life. Or someone's like, "Do you like my new haircut?" Yeah, you love it, you like it, I love it. Those type of things. I mean, sometimes as a kid, they'll tell them like, you don't have to say everything that comes in your head. My parents were really big about that to me. I said whatever was in my head. Um, it's like you don't have, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. But it's like I'm not saying that something is not nice. I'm just saying something that I find to be the truth. And they're like, that's not proper in this situation. So then you start even your parents have to tell you that, but like in friendship situations and social situations, going to school, interacting with other people your age, your peers, or just in general, you have to learn social cues. And sometimes lying is the best way to get through a social situation. And if you are so rigid in telling the truth, you become ostracized or you become the bad person. I know there's a point in my life where like it was easy to lie, and and so my parents didn't really teach me about like lying is bad. And so I was really thinking through like, when do I lie? So I used to do a lot of little white lies. I would lie about little things. I would lie about small things that would get me in trouble, or that like if I told the truth, I would get in trouble, but wouldn't fix anything. So like, why is this vase broken? Is an example. I know I broke the vase. I was running around. It was an accident. But like, I'm going to get in trouble. The vase is still broken. Well, I'm not gonna be able to buy it. Like, so I'm like, I don't know. That vase just something must have happened. I don't know why this vase is broken. Doesn't change the fact the vase is broken. It just changes the fact that now you're not looking at me about that broken vase. And so I haven't gotten myself in trouble in dealing with consequences of that. But we still deal with the consequences of the vase is broken. Nothing can change from that point of view. You knowing it was me, what would that change up? You now you're angry, you have a target to be at, and there's nothing I can do to make the vase better. See how logical I just very logical minded about that. I was like that as a kid. But then there was things like I don't lie about big things. I don't lie about things that can harm other people. I don't lie about things that would get someone else in trouble. In fact, I kind of pushed back on that whole the Ten Commandments say you shouldn't lie. The Ten Commandments say you don't bear false witness against your neighbor. So like again, the vase broke and there's me and my sister there and my parents like, which one of you broke the vase? I know I broke the vase. Me being like, I don't know, broke the vase. Is it me bearing false witness? Bearing false witness be like, my sister broke the vase. That would be bull. That is a sin, okay? Let me be like, I don't know, broke the vase is not me bearing false witness against my sister or my neighbor or my brother, whatever. And so I don't like to lie. Or even as a kid, I didn't lie about big things, things that could cause harm or trouble or could have major impacts on other people. I didn't like to lie on other people either. But then I got a little bit older and I was like, no, if I want to be a person about my word, if I want to be someone people can trust, if I want to be, and in my head, this moral person, I need to stop lying overall. And so I used to tell very blunt truths. And that does not make you popular on the playground or in college or whatnot. Like this, sometimes blunt truths or telling the truth means you have to be even more tactful in how you say it. And tact and me just didn't always seem to go, my brain just did not get the tactness. And we're going to pretend like I'm neurotypical. So, um, yeah, so you can kind of get, telling the truth of your opinions, of your thoughts, and like, sometimes it can be like, "Oh, do you like this dress?" I'm like, "No." And my friend's like, "What are you saying? Are you saying I look ugly in the dress or something?" Like, no, I just don't like the dress. I think you look fine in it. Like, I mean, you like it, cool. I just don't like the dress. I don't think I'd be caught dead in that dress, but do you? And all of a sudden, there's a whole thing. And like, I had to really learn even sometimes like in social settings the little lies are important, and then there's also the lies of protection, and I think that's what we see a lot more in Oshi No Ko. I lies because of the role that she has, and it's also lie of protection for her, for her kids. We clearly see that when a fan finds out about it, that danger comes to her. As we move on in the story, Aqua does a lot of lies of protection, a lot of live admission to. Like he doesn't tell anyone what his goals are, what his plans are, what he's been working on for years, because he wants to protect his sister. He does a lot of things in the background because, again, he wants to protect his sister. He's seen the really bad things that have happened to his mother, who, was an idol, and his sister, who wants to be an idol. He does a lot of things to protect other people. And some of those lies I can see, like, telling someone you're fine when you're not. Because you don't want people to worry or to get in your business because, there's so much on there's so much dirtiness you don't want them to see. Versus telling a lie to get information from somebody else to help you further your goals. Again, in the spirit of protecting the people you care the most about. And that's where I think the morality of a lot of it shies away. There are some people who can be like, you shouldn't lie, and then not telling someone is a lie by admission, and it hurts people regardless if you do it. And there are some people who be like, lying depends on the lie. It doesn't hurt anybody if it helps somebody, or it can actually help the situation, it can make somebody feel better. And that's only the time you tell the lie. Or lying to protect, to keep people out of harm's way. Like if someone's robbing you and you're like, and there's a group of y'all, and you say, hey, I got $1 million in my car. Follow me to my car. I'll give you the money. Just let the rest of them go. That is a lie to help other people. And I think most moral and ethicist people will tell you, like, that's not a bad lie. I think in our everyday world, I don't think you should be rigid about your ability to lie or to not tell lies. I do think you need a standard of code about when things have gone too far. Because in my a lot of my big beliefs is like you can do anything in moderation. You can lie and lie in moderation, but what is the point of the lie? If the lie is to protect yourself, like what are you protecting yourself from? If the lie is to protect others, what are you also protecting them from? If the lie is to harm others, then that is a whole nother like situation. I think the moral behind and the ethics behind that as well can get a little ugh. I don't think we can ever be black and white about the lies people tell, especially to protect themselves and to protect others. Um, Artists, celebrities, influencers, they're all going to tell little lies. They tell lies for capitalism to sell things to you, which again don't love, but that's how they make their money. They also tell lies that help protect them from us, consumers. So people who want to do them harm, you see people have unhinged comments about people in their lives. And a lot of times some of those unhinged comments come because people felt that they've been lied to, or they tell lies to make things not look as bad, it's to hurt their brands. And I think you do, and whether what their moral compass is about the lies, you have to decide like what is more important to you about why they did the lie. Was it again to protect themselves for money purposes? And you may be like, that's not good at reasons. Or to protect themselves from having harm come to them or their families. People who lie and be like, I'm not dating celebrities who are like, I'm not dating anybody. When no, we were just friends. Are they learning to protect themselves from like cheating and hurting the people? Or are they learning to protect themselves from people being mad that they have a partner? Because a lot of K-pop stars have to do that. Like they're not allowed to be seen, they're not allowed to have love interests, and then the fandom it just goes wild when it's like secret love or how dare they not tell us they have a partner because y'all will go after the partner. Like we know what it is. Are you mad about the lie? Are you mad they have a partner? Like tell me, you're mad about the partner. You're not mad about the lie because you wouldn't been cool. And we've seen this time and time again. And then there's another really fascinating piece, and I'm going to end on this, is that there's some people who's like, it is a moral obligation to lie to evil, oppressive institutions. And I love this particular conversation because there are people who's like, okay, especially thinking about America, ICE raids, right? If you have a friend and ICE is actively going to pick them up. And they're not a criminal. They may not even be really undocumented or they're in the process or whatever. And they knock on your door and say, we're looking for so and so. Are they here? And you say, you've lied to an authority figure. If you're looking at a black and white, that's bad. But you also know that authority figure will harm your friend. So you've lied to protect your friend. That's good. Like there's like an obligation. Some people say a moral obligation that when you're protecting life, it's okay to lie to people that are actually hurting them. Um, I think you can go back to like there is a perpetrator, a killer, a murderer, a serial killer, someone who's going to like physically harm somebody in your vicinity, or an abusive ex. Your friend has an abusive ex. That abusive ex comes to you like, where is so and so living? I know they left you. I know you helped them. Tell me where these things are. And you don't not to say anything because they're gonna sit here and yell and berate you. But then you give them some false ad, you give them some false number, some false address to get them going, get them off in the wrong direction. You lied, but were you morally wrong for doing it? And that's something I think we do wrestle with a lot in a show like Oshi No Ko. Not, I'm not gonna lie. Some people do lie just to make their lives a little bit easier, and it's not always justified. And we'll see that a lot in the show. But I love that they say sometimes lying is an act of love. Sometimes lying is the way you prove that you want to be here. I, as an idol talent who comes from a very rocky background, who didn't always think highly of herself, putting on that smile in front of the audiences and smiling and saying, I love you all. And it was her doing her darndest to give the people what they wanted because she had the talent. She had the ability to do it. It's like the actors, the actresses, the singers, you know, the people who try to be the persona you want them to be because they want you to see their talent and they want you to like respect them as artists, even though they know that you may not respect them as people. I think about all the folk and the artists when, being queer was just a career ender. And so they got beards or they, were in fake relationships. They are never were in any relationships. And anytime people try to like out them, they covered it up. Like, are we mad at people for lying for that? Like, yes, I'd love for everyone to be able to live in their truth, but now that means you'll never be able to perform again. Now that means you'll never be able to do your art, make a living for you and your family. People lie to do protect themselves and to protect others. And the morality behind that is a little bit shady and it comes in those shades of gray. And I think we have to sit with that. I mean, I guess what I'm saying at the end of this is like for you as a human being is to decide like why are you doing the lying and where are your lines drawn? Again, I've had to go through iterations of this in my life where like I'm not gonna lie about things that are important to me or when I know people can be hurt, or I will lie if I know someone really important will be hurt. Um, I won't lie when like there's are important things at stake unless me lying again allows for somebody else to not be hurt. And when I think about hurt, I am thinking not just their feelings hurt, although feelings are important, but again, violence by state or by other people or institutions. Um, Depending on the entity, I'm less rigid about if I like I don't like to lie to family and friends. I don't like to lie to people who are close to me, even sometimes when it's not a nice truth. That they have a relationship enough with me to let me talk through it and for them to understand like this is not a judgment, this is not me being mean, but like this is just like how I feel and I like to be like honest in that way. Even within relationships, like I try to be honest, but I also think about like, am I, especially like you're in a relationship, you're thinking about like, how honest are you? Do I tell somebody like, I just got the ick, I don't want to date you anymore? Maybe like if we're only been talking like two or three times, but if like somebody you've been talking to for a while, it's like, is that how you want it to go out? Is that the sum of your relationship? And sometimes you may like have had or take some things out of there. But I do try in most cases to not be disingenuous and to not be honest about my feelings and not, and to not lie. Um, when asked direct questions, I'm really good at not lying if I get asked direct questions. But then if it's entities and institutions I have no respect for, yeah, I may spin a whole yarn for you because this would be amazingly fun. I'm a great storyteller. And I also think that's one of the reasons why I probably wouldn't make a great entertainer or like high influencer with millions of followers. Like there's so much of me that I just have to be real because I don't think I could play or act like not like myself or like a persona for so long. Like the pieces of me will always leak through because I love me. I am genuinely just love me. So like I would have to be me. But then the bigger the anonymity, the bigger the fame, the more people who are following you, the more people will want to see only what parts of you, and I can't always promise that. I see people who are massively popular influencers on here, and part of me like the money sounds good, but like I don't know if I could deal with the stress. Like there's just parts of me I don't hide and I don't try to, and I think it's really hard to be in that industry. Which is something else that comes up for me every time I reread through Oshi No Ko and think through it. So just food for thoughts. Again, if you haven't seen Oshi No Ko, I highly recommend it. If you come at me being like, you like Loli, I'm gonna make a video for y'all. It's not gonna be in the podcast. It's probably gonna be my own personal channel, just being like, stop with the mess. Like there's too many good conversations to be had about Oshi No Ko for y'all to boil it down to these two or three like buzzworthy topics that you don't know what you're talking about. So that's a whole other thing. But yeah, you want a murder mystery, revenge plot story with some, I don't know, mystical elements into it. Check out Oshi No Ko. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's very well done, and I appreciate the conversations that come from it. So then maybe we could have another conversation about this later. But in the end time, do what you have to do. Maybe next week could be great. And if someone asks you if you mourn over the person that, certain things happened to this past week, you just lie. And that tells you how I feel about that. But that's it. All right. Peace, love, light, all the good jazzes. I hope y'all stay safe out here. It's crazy. And see you next week. Bye. The Blurred Church of Anime podcast is produced by Black Star, aka Lauren Tillman, written by Lauren Tillman, and hosted by Lauren Tillman. Music created by EL47.